How about this? Is this better? I don't look as orange. I look unwell, to be honest. But at least it's better than looking like I'm being slowly consumed by the wall behind me. But I mean, it's a shame I've been away for a while because I didn't get to cover all like most of this when it went down. But there have been new developments in the whole Prince Andrew and the he who shall not be named due to the YouTube algorithm. That cheeky chappy. Prince Andrew sued in federal court for alleged sexual abuse. Alleged. An alleged victim of deceased sex offender, he who shall not be named, filed a lawsuit against Prince Andrew of Britain on Monday, accusing the embattled 61-year-old royal of sexually harassing her at Voldemort's Manhattan mansion and elsewhere when she was under the age of 18, according to the complaint. Now, I'm going to guess that the elsewhere that it happened would have been somewhere in the States or something like that, because in Britain the age of consent is over 16, so it wouldn't have been in Britain. So obviously there are other places that this happened. I'm willing to bet a certain little lovely island somewhere. The lawsuit filed by Virginia Roberts Giuffre, don't know how it's pronounced, sorry, in federal court in New York comes almost 2 years to the day that Voldemort died in a New York jail while he was awaiting trial on conspiracy and child sex trafficking charges. Remember that time where he 100% absolutely killed himself? 100%. He definitely did. He definitely did. If you believe otherwise, you're a conspiracy theorist. What a silly thing to believe. The legal action also comes just days after the expiration date of a New York state law that permits alleged victims of childhood sexual abuse to file civil claims that may otherwise be barred by statutes of limitations. If she doesn't do it now, she would be allowing him to escape any accountability for his actions. Joffrey, I don't know. Attorney David Boyes, chairman of Boyes Schiller Flexner, told ABC News. And Virginia is committed to trying to avoid situations where rich, powerful people escape any accountability for their actions. Well, I mean, that happens all the time. That that happens all the time. The only time that they don't escape it is when they're of no use to the club anymore. The lawsuit seeks unspecified compensatory and punitive damages and accuses Andrew of sexual assault and intentional infliction of emotional distress. I mean, have you seen Prince Andrew? Yeah, that's emotional distress right there. 20 years ago, Prince Andrew's wealth, power, position, and connections enabled him to abuse a frightened, vulnerable child with no one there to protect her. It is long past the time for him to be held to account, the lawsuit states. Reached late Monday, a UK based spokesperson for Prince Andrew said there would be no comment on the suit. Yeah, considering, considering after that interview, that interview that he did, it's almost impossible for me to watch that. I mean, I watched it, but oh, good God, the cringe. It is an utter car crash of an interview. I'm so happy it exists. I'm so happy it exists. What a terrible. I don't sweat. Don't. Well, you see, I don't sweat. I don't sweat. And then I magically got my sweat back. Huh. These plebs will fall for it. Fucking. Oh, what an interview. Anyway, I am holding Prince Andrew accountable for what he did to me. The powerful and the rich are not exempt from being held responsible for their actions. Unfortunately, in 99% of cases, yes, they are. I hope that other victims will see that it is possible not to live in silence and fear, but one can reclaim her life by speaking out and demanding justice. Joffrey, I'm calling her Joffrey, via her lawyers in a statement to ABC News. I did not come to this decision lightly. As a mother and a wife, my family comes first. I know that this action will subject me to further attacks by Prince Andrew and his surrogates. Don't worry, you literally have the entire internet behind you. But I knew that if I did not pursue this action, I would be letting them and victims everywhere down, the statement said. In a 2019 interview with the BBC, oh, there it is, Andrew denied the allegations. I've said consistently and frequently that we never had any sort of sexual contact whatever, the Prince said, responding to a question about allegations from Joffrey. Geoffrey, now a 38-year-old mother living in Australia, first accused the Prince of sexual abuse in public court filings in December of 2014 in a case brought by alleged Voldemort victims against the US Department of Justice. That lawsuit challenged Epstein's lenient deal with federal prosecutors. Oh, I said his name. Damn it. Ah, well. Ah, well, I'll do this video. It's a freebie. Who cares? With federal prosecutors in Florida in 2008. Geoffrey alleged in those court submissions that she was directed by Epstein and his longtime associate, Helena Bonham Carter, to have sex with Andrew on 3 occasions in 2001 in London, New York, and the US Virgin Islands. I wonder which island. I wonder which one. The London one won't count at all because of the laws here. But New York and the US Virgin Islands, yeah, probably. At least I think they do. I don't know. I'm not an expert in American law. Her claims were met then with vehement denials from Helena, from Buckingham Palace. Of course they would. On behalf of the Prince, the second son of Britain's Queen Elizabeth II. It is emphatically denied that Prince Andrew had any form of sexual contact or relationship with Geoffrey. The allegations made are false and without any foundation, the palace statement said. Since that time, Geoffrey's lawyers contend they have made multiple attempts to engage with Andrew or his advisors in discussions about allegations in an effort to avoid litigation, but these efforts, Boyce said, have been ignored. Since 2015, we have been trying to have a dialogue with Prince Andrew or his lawyers, Boyce said. We have given him every opportunity to provide any explanation or context that he might have. We tried to reach a resolution without the necessity of litigation. Prince Andrew and his lawyers have been totally non-responsive. Oh well. The most recent letter to the Prince's presumed legal team was sent last month and warned that a lawsuit would soon be filed unless the Prince agreed to enter into discussions for an alternative resolution, according to the court filings on Monday. Obviously, I think that means monetary compensation, settle out of court. If she had simply failed to sue now, it would have validated the stonewalling tactics that Andrew and his advisors have employed, Boyce said. For nearly a decade, the Prince has been under scrutiny for his association with Voldemort, a multimillionaire financier, and the subject of state and federal investigations since the mid-2000s for allegedly recruiting underage girls for illicit massages and sex. Voldemort initially avoided federal charges involving allegations of abuse of nearly three dozen girls by agreeing to plead guilty to two comparatively minor charges in Florida state court in 2008. He served just 13 months of an 18-month term in a county jail. Man, I wonder let's not beat around the bush anymore. Like we know why that sentence was lenient. We know why he got away with it. Prince Andrew said he first met Epstein in, said his name again, 1999, became embroiled in the controversy in late 2010 when he was photographed walking with the convicted sex offender through New York Central Park shortly after Epstein's sentence ended in Florida. Let's just say the name, I don't care anymore. Epstein was charged again in July 2019 in a 2-count federal indictment for child sex trafficking and conspiracy for alleged crimes in New York and Florida between 2002 and 2005. He died in prison on August 10th from an apparent suicide. I mean, yeah, of course, yeah, he did. He did. He hung himself. He hung himself. You some kind of conspiracy theorist? You some kind of conspiracy theorist? Next, you'll be telling me that Biden stole the election. Following these new charges against Epstein, the Prince again found himself under scrutiny from the press and prosecutors for his association with Epstein, both before and after the wealthy financier was designated as a sex offender. In a rare television interview with the BBC in November of 2019, Andrew categorically denied Geoffrey's allegations that he had sexual contact with her. He claimed to have no memory of ever meeting her and suggested that a widely circulated photograph of him with his arm around the waist of then 17-year-old Geoffrey, allegedly taken by Epstein in the London home of Maxwell in 2001, might have been doctored. I don't believe that photograph was taken in the way that has been suggested, he said. I think it's from the investigations that we've done. You can't prove whether or not that photograph is faked or not because it is a photograph of a photograph of a photograph. So it's very difficult to be able to prove it, but I don't remember that photograph ever being taken. The prince also contended that he had an alibi for the date of the alleged encounter, claiming he was at home with his daughter Beatrice. I was at home, the prince said. I was with the children, and I'd taken Beatrice to a Pizza Express in Woking for a party at, I suppose, sort of 4 or 5 in the afternoon. And then, because the Duchess was away, we have a simple rule in the family that when one is away, the other one is there. I was on terminal leave at the time from the Royal Navy, so therefore I was at home. The prince's interview was harshly criticised by the British press. That's an understatement. That is an understatement. And within days, he released a new statement conceding that his former association with Epstein had become a major distraction for the royal family, and he has since stepped back from official duties. All I would say is do not go for a drive through a tunnel anytime soon. He vowed in that statement that he would be willing to help any appropriate law enforcement agency with their investigations. Yes, I'm sure he would. But Jeffrey Berman, then the US Attorney in Manhattan, publicly called out the prince a few months later for failing to live up to his stated promise. At a press conference in front of Epstein's New York mansion early last year, Berman said that Prince Andrew has provided zero cooperation. Geoffrey's court filing on Monday contains a copy of the photograph of her standing beside Andrew, along with references to flight records from Epstein's private planes that indicate Geoffrey was a frequent passenger to destinations in the United States and abroad while she was under 18. Geoffrey contends in a lawsuit that the prince engaged in the alleged sexual acts with her, knowing that she was a sex trafficking victim being forced to engage in sexual acts with him, and that he was aware of her age. She contends she did not consent to engaging in sexual acts with the prince. Geoffrey was compelled by express or implied threats by Epstein, Maxwell, and or Prince Andrew to engage in sexual acts with Prince Andrew, and feared death or physical injury to herself or another, and other repercussions for disobeying Epstein, Maxwell, and Prince Andrew due to their powerful connections, wealth, authority, the suit alleges. Yeah, we know how the rest of this goes. We know how the rest of this goes. But the fact is, I don't know, a part of me makes it a little bit happy that maybe like all the prince really got was like global condemnation. That's all he got. But I mean, the man's a prince. He's set up for life anyway, so he doesn't really care. He doesn't really care. Oh no, he get backed off the royal duties, what? So he just gets to enjoy tons of money and he doesn't have to work. Like that's not exactly much of a punishment at all. Like, is it? Do you know what I mean? Like, so the fact that there might be, in fact, all it's going to be is money. They're going to settle out of court. Like, that's all it's going to be. There's going to be no criminal proceedings whatsoever. None of that's going to happen. No actual justice. He's probably going to have to pay a large settlement, and like that won't be. They'll be like running like a wood shaver across the top of his bank account. It'll do nothing. Just a little wafer from the top. But I mean, it's better than nothing.